Shut up, Nicole. I'm not in the mood. So here's the thing, everybody. You know what to do. Follow, like, subscribe. I don't care.
Who cares?
Okay? Who the fuck cares? Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't care. Do it, don't do it. It's your life. What's real? What's reality? What makes sense? I don't know. By the way,
it would be a predictable decision to share the show, but maybe be unpredictable every now and again. Change things up.
throw in a wrench. It's only money. Then if you want to share the show and let people know to watch it, awesome. Do it. Sounds great. Do it right now. Tell people we're live. Maybe at the end of the show you want to tell them. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't want to tell anybody anything and just do whatever the fuck you want. I don't know. And then maybe you know where to go for things or don't know how to make how to make correct decisions. Go to hellofriendspod.com. You can find all our socials there and our live show schedule. Awesome.
Or not,
Or not, I don't care.
You know what? And if you're listening to this in your ear hole, sorry for yelling, but you know what? Not sorry. We do what we want. Please share it. Give it a 5-star rating, a positive review. And if you want to rant a little bit with all your joy and goodness, do that as well. Because, yeah, we will. We're ranting.
We're ranting. You know what you need to do? Bring the guests on. I don't even know why they don't hate us.
Our friends, I can't do this immediately. Our friends, we have an amazing guest today. Somebody I had the pleasure of meeting over a year ago now. Where did the time go? It is the one, the only, the tremendously hysterical Ryan Ballantine.
What, Ryan?
What happened?
I don't know, Ryan.
Well, and I'm glad you cursed first so that I don't get in trouble for cursing. But what in the fuck? We should talk about what happened before I talk about why I think happened, because right. I do have a theory as to why this person did what they did.
You want to?
Okay.
However, still ridiculous.
Ryan, you want to know what I think you can do with your theory? I think you can take your theory, you can fold theory up, and you can shove your theory right fucking ass, because I don't want to hear about any theories! What are you doing, Brayden?
Yeah, look, here's the only thing that I think he could have been thinking in that moment.
Okay.
About Ty's penis? Because that would make sense. I hope it's not Ty's penis is the answer.
The Sunsetters are who is left, right? The Sunsetters aren't going to want to take each other to the final two, because sitting next to Kiefer, Tyshawn's game is weaker. Sitting next to Tyshawn or Beth, Kiefer's game is weaker. Sitting next to either Beth or Tyshawn, the game is weaker. The only person who could have beaten Brayden for a bitter anti-Sunsetter jury would have been Tara. So if jury is anti-Sunsetter, Brayden has been friendly with everybody. They all like Brayden. He hasn't engendered any bitterness amongst any of the jury. So could Brayden be the guy that takes an anti-Sunsetter jury to a 4-3 victory? That's the only rationale I have for why he made the move tonight. That's it. That's the only thing that makes sense, because otherwise you obviously use the veto and you vote Kiefer out because Kiefer has the best win package left in the house.
That's a very valid point. If Brayden views it as any and everybody here will want to easily sit next to Tara, and that's nothing against Tara, we're just saying take her out, anybody there would want to sit next to him. That could very well be what my family thought it was maybe like a Kiefer and a Ty and a Brayden knew that the jury's not particularly fond of Beth, so they rather sit next to her in final two and win than sit next to Tara. So that was kind of where my family was maybe speculating. Maybe they knew, oh, she's not well liked, I'd rather sit next to her. But I didn't think of it that way, and that's very, very valid.
I think Brayden's win quotient against everybody but Tara is way higher than it is against Tara. So losing Tara increases his win quotient if he gets to the final two and can convince the jury to be anti-Sunsetter. Now, whether or not he can do that is a totally different story. But I think that could be the only logic that makes sense to me.
Could be.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
so
Uh-oh.
as the only gay here, just checking, right? So you two still straight? Great. He's
Yep,
hypnotized by Ty's penis. That is the only thing that makes sense. I don't give a shit about you winning at Final 2. You're not getting there. So I don't know what move you thought you were making. You're not getting there, Brayden. You're not getting there. You know what you just watched week after week? These people circle jerking each other off every single week, protecting each other. You think now they're gonna go, oh God, you know, it'd be great if we took Brayden to the end. Bullshit. No, they're not. Zero chance. You
They
just
know.
threw your game. No, he
There's a
threw
chance.
his game away. If Brayden makes it past next week, which is the end of the game anyway, I will eat my hat. I don't know what you want, but it's never happening.
But Braden's been the guy all along that they keep putting on the block to get rid of the bigger threat.
Yes.
If you're Kiefer, do you want to sit next to Brayden or Tyshawn? If you're Tyshawn, do you want to sit next to Kiefer or Brayden? You want to sit next to Brayden. So you're going to get rid of the other one. And I mean, getting rid of Beth is just, you know, it's extra at this point. I mean, it also depends on what they do with the person who comes in, because what I was desperately hoping was for Arissa to say the winner of this Battle Back Challenge is also your new head of household,
Yes. Yeah.
which would have been phenomenal television when
So
Jedson wins and comes back in and takes out Tyshawn and Beth and puts them both on the block.
Mhm.
But
And it still could be. And if we do not get what their conversation was in that HOH room, I'm going to be pissed. The thing that I think it very well could be, we missed something. We basically haven't had feeds all day. Like, there might be some piece of the puzzle missing. But here's my problem with what you're saying about Brayden. It's putting all of his fate and his game in what other people do, which is ridiculous. He would have had a better chance winning out things against Tara, in my opinion, than he would against Beth.
But I almost feel like there has to be more to it, whether it happened earlier today when the feeds were down or in that slight commercial break. I don't know. But maybe like Kiefer got Brayden's ear and they struck up like a, listen, this is who we're voting out. And if you do it, you're my final two. Like, I don't know. I feel like there was that moment.
yeah,
Like Brayden looked at Kiefer on the couch and they had a moment.
Yeah.
So there was a comparing of notes. And I don't know.
And there might have been that moment too where they're sitting in the living room right after the veto, or right after the veto win, where they're all congratulating him. Hey, you won the veto. Don't use it. I'll take you to final two.
True.
Goes into his ear from a couple different sources. And then he says, okay, I'm not using it. Hey, we need to send home Tara because, you know, whatever, because Jedson might come back or whatever, like whatever the discussions were, they happened, because we do have to remember that live is not live in Canada.
Correct.
Right? Live eviction show in Canada takes 3 to 4 hours. So in that time, they do have time, even if it's just a second or two, to make that deal. They could have made that deal. And while it seems like a whirlwind 15 seconds to decide, even that's enough time to get from the backyard to the living room to grab somebody and make that deal, and then you just make the deal.
But I don't get in what world any of these deals make sense for Brayden. Like Sparkly I just said in chat, if everybody knows they go sitting next to Brayden, then why would anyone want to sit next to Brayden in Final 2?
Because they all think that they can beat Brayden, because the Sunsetters believe that running the game is enough. The Sunsetters believe that dominating the front half of the game would be enough to get the respect of the people in the jury.
And also,
I see it differently, having been in a jury where people get really pissed off, you know, and were easily offended. I mean, I was on a season where somebody was getting 4 votes the minute they got to final 2. The final 2 votes they got came from the speeches and people being pissed about what they had said in the speeches. So I think there's a very good possibility that they think Brayden is the GOAT to drag with them to final 2. And I think there's an equally good chance that Brayden could flip it. That's also to say that Brayden has been second in so many competitions this year. So many competitions. And the people he was losing those competitions to are gone. This could be the start of what we saw with Kevin Martin towards the end of his season in season 5, where you win out a late veto and then you just win every comp the rest of the way. You're either HOH or veto winner, and then you're sitting in the finale and you say, look, I got 4 comp wins under my belt and I did all these moves and I stayed safe, and vote for me anyway. It's like the end game is possible.
Yes.
So it's not as awful as it looks, I think, in the immediacy. And I want to wait till Monday before I really think that Braden fucked himself. Now, that said, this whole week has been people fucking themselves.
Yep.
So the whole house has taken all Big Brother logic and just thrown it into the fire and said, nah, fuck it. We'll do this all wrong and see how it works out.
Yeah, and going back to what you're saying, you think of Tara versus Braden, you're right, sitting in final 2. Tara does have this past week, when I was HOH, whether Kiefer planned it or not, I rolled out the plan to get Jed to, keep himself on the block and to evict him, versus a Braden who
Doesn't have.
Yeah, and I love Braden. I was very happy to see him get a comp win regardless of anything. So, and I do agree, I often feel, and we kind of saw this with Tara, people win one thing, and once you get a taste of it, it's like, oh, I am capable, and you start winning more and more. So I would love to see Braden win a lot more and kind of make it there, because if it doesn't, like you said, then he fucked himself, and I don't know what to say to it. It's so weird.
I am just saying, I know I'm being very pessimistic right now. I do not see Braden doing what needs to be done to win himself to the end. I don't, and I don't think these people are going to take him. The fact that, so yes, Ty won, but Kiefer went first and voted out Tara. That to me means their loyalty is more to those people, unless we're gonna see something that lets me know Kiefer and Braden had some sort of a talk. And I don't think we're gonna see that. The fact, and I get it, we don't know. Braden didn't know how Kiefer was gonna vote, but it makes no sense. It does not make sense. I don't believe Braden thought it through as much as we're giving him credit for, based on the fact that I have the live feeds on all day. We have the live feed updaters. I have never heard Braden even hint to thinking a scenario like this through. It was always about him and Tara all the time. I think that's why so many people are shocked. I don't think this was on anyone's radar at all. And I personally don't think Braden knows what he's doing, and I can't wait to hear why he did it.
If you consider that Tara, yes, she put Braden up, but it was with the understanding that them two were essentially sitting ducks anyway. We're gonna go home anyway. Yeah, exactly. Let's do this to get us further. So I think, the thought process was, okay, Tara and Braden are together because they realize they're on the outs. So for him to vote out his one person, yes, it's toward the end. It's more an individual game at this point, but you still got a Ty and a Beth, odd dynamic, but they're together. And now if Jed comes back, oh my God, I don't know.
I have to say, I see, for example, Starlight over on YouTube saying Ty, Kiefer, and Beth made a final 3 today. Starlight, they all have final 3s. There is a dynamic of a final 3 between every person in that house, and then every person has a final 2 with every other person. None of those things mean anything.
No, and none of that is real at this point. At this point, it's who's the HOH, who's the veto winner, and after that, we're going to take each other out. I didn't have the benefit of getting into the late stages of the game, like our intrepid host here. But I think when you get to this stage, you have to have a deal with everybody. You have to have everybody believing that you're with them. I mean, seasons just don't happen coming down the stretch with this kind of animosity all that frequently, because you have to believe it. And again, I want to wait until Monday before I I want to reserve judgment until Monday when we see what happened during the fake double edit, because that's going to be the first, they'll show the comp first, I think, on Monday, and which one of them comes back in. But then I think we'll see a before the double eviction edit where we get about 15, 20 minutes of other footage. Then you'll have an HOH comp and a quick nom ceremony, and then that'll be the episode on Monday.
True.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's not live in Canada. So the fact that they showed Tara saying, Jed, I need to tell you things in the edit, that must show they're going to show us things. If they're not going to show us things, they just wouldn't put that part in.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
I can't, like, congratulations to the production staff of this season for manipulating these people into terrible decisions all the time. Because the questions you get asked in the DR influences your gameplay. And it's just the gameplay has been so shoddy from start to finish that you have to think that, like, it's just spectacular. It's spectacular to watch how many people have made dramatic failures. I feel so redeemed as one of the worst Big Brother Canada players ever to have been, like, rescued by season 9, because people are going to remember that I sent Andrew home, but they're not going to, they're going to think of Jed taking himself, using the veto on Beth. They're going to think about Victoria backdooring one of her own allies as the invisible HOH and not taking a shot at power. They're going to think of Rohan picking on Kiefer, like daggering on Kiefer, like he wasn't immediately going to come out and take him down. It just, there's been so many terrible gameplay decisions this season. It just makes me feel better.
And Final Five.
Hold on.
They're not going to think of Nicole and Cliff voting out Tommy. They're going to think of Braden voting out Tara.
They're going to think about Braden voting out Tara. They're going to think there's so many bad choices. Just redemption. It feels good.
I'm short-circuiting again. Number one, you're right. We all have to wait until Monday to find out. I mean, unless you know any people in press who interviewed the people early. But then, secondly, I think, Ryan, this is the best season ever. What are you talking about? Bad moves.
It's spectacular because it's terrible. The reason it's great is because it's bad. And I don't mean bad from a watching standpoint. I mean bad from a gameplay perspective. The people in the house are bad at the game, and that's what makes it great to watch. The reason why some seasons are so terrible is because certain people are so good at the game that they make it boring. The Pretty Boys were so good.
Yeah, I agree.
They were so good that the season was boring. Derek was so good that the season was boring, right? What just happened in All-Stars? The season was so boring because people were so good.
Twitch.
Okay.
Right? The reason this season is good is because the players are bad.
Okay, I thought you were saying, like, my season sucked and this season is worse than my season for viewers.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm saying that I feel vindicated in how making my bad move because it's going to fall down the list of bad moves in Big Brother Canada history based on this season. There's going to be a whole bunch from this season that stack up way higher than that.
That's actually really interesting. Because Eric, you and I always say, like, oh, this is one of the best casts. They, like, many of them, if not all of them, know what they're doing. And maybe it's more so that they're all so confident that they know what they're doing, that they've convinced us that they're all such good game players. But if you do review the tapes, a lot of choices and evictions that happened, it's like, wait, what?
No, I don't think we're under any disillusion. We loved Victoria because she was batshit crazy and made good feeds.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And she was sloppy as all hell. And that's what makes a great, entertaining Big Brother season. The reason that Big Brother has kind of gone down, the people say the modern era is boring because people have 20 seasons of show to study. And the people do that. And then they come into the game knowing what works, knowing what doesn't, knowing to hold their emotions. And it just doesn't play out the way you hope, despite all the potential early. You know, they get rid of the messy people early. They get rid of, and then all of a sudden you're just left with boring people that are waiting from comp to comp to comp to take people out.
this season, and I think we've been saying this all along from the beginning, what's great about this season is right from day one, no HOH ever did the I'm gonna go for the easy people. I'm gonna go with the house. It's like everybody was trying to make big moves. And even if the person didn't seem like a big move, it was, I mean, the whole Destiny and whatever the fuck screwed up who they had to choose from those first 2 weeks. But I think had that not been in play, bigger people, it's always been going after big people, not playing it safe like we see so often. So I've loved
By the
that.
way, speaking of Team Destiny,
Yeah.
I nearly applauded when they had Beth
Yeah.
standing
Yes.
under the word Destiny, centered in the middle of the word, under the T, like she's crying, but she, like that shot, I guarantee goes home with her on a plaque at the end of the year as one of her experience photos that they give the cast, because that was a perfection shot and a perfect edit to throw that in there to tell you that Beth is going to win.
And that's exactly what I said. I'm like, this is going to be the cover art for the episode. This is going to be like a famous photo of Big Brother. And I wonder, was she perfectly lined up, or was production like, Beth, can you move 1 centimeter over? There it is.
Because you know they did. That's
I don't know. She was already there. And then
you know Beth was crying. She was like crying under like the S. And they were like, Beth, we need you to move to the I.
Could
like,
you move 2 steps over?
And
just put yourself right in the middle of the word?
First of all,
picture.
I think that I know Beth is sad. I am not saying I think she is inhuman, but I think a lot of those tears and crying were very much for the show. I think Beth is aware how she is coming off and is trying a little bit to control her image. I did literally laugh out loud when Jed gave that whole entire speech and then walked out of the room, and Beth instantly hugged Ty and fell down on the bed together.
Awkwardly.
And I missed the screenshot by like a millisecond, but all I wanted to do was tweet it out and be like, Beth moved on quick.
Just
They
landed
awkwardly. She started with Tyshawn. She's not moving on. Like the only way, the time when this relationship moved from a throuple to a couple with a third wheel was the minute Jed won his first HOH. Let's not like Beth is taking a lot of shit online, and it bugs me because she has been playing this strategy of multiple dudes as meat shields in front of her perfectly. And if you can please just accept the imagery without any of the overtones associated. Beth reminds me of Michonne from The Walking Dead, right? Okay. She's got these 2 zombies out in front of her, right? Warding away danger, keeping everything away from her, and sitting back and letting that be her shield in front of her. Now, the imagery is bad because, of course, you change a black woman to a white woman. You put 2 black men in chains in front of a white woman. It's not good. And I recognize that. And I understand the imagery is bad. If you can disassociate all of that, she's had these 2 guys walking out in front of her, being her protection for the entire game, and whichever one was in a better position was the guy that she was smooching on a little more. If Tyshawn had won an HOH instead of Jedson, she might not be crying over Jedson going home today. She might be crying over Tyshawn.
And we saw that when, the rumors started, whisperings of Jed going home and her walking in like, hey, Ty, like grabbing his pocket and being like, remember us like day one, since day one, flirty, flirt. It's like, oh, from a strategy standpoint, it is smart. You're most likely going to lose Jed. So remind the other guy, like, remember me? Like, it's
cold, but it works.
It's really cold. And I could never do it, but you have to look at it from a game standpoint and be like, damn, okay.
Okay, so I don't watch The Walking Dead, but I appreciate Ryan explaining it for the straight men. Nicole, maybe you could do it for the straight ladies. I'm gonna
Okay.
do it for the gays and say, so Beth has like two pups. She's into pup play. She has them on their leashes. She's the mistress. And she is letting them be the subs. She's the dom. Got it.
Okay.
Right.
And now
Okay.
for the more child-friendly Disney approach, I will say that Beth is like Ursula and Jed and Ty are the two eels that are out in front scoping everything while she's down in the shadows waiting with her tentacles.
And if anyone wants to grab that, Nicole just called Beth Ursula.
No!
Okay, got it. Got it.
Oh,
Under the
God.
sea. I
Fortunate soul.
yes, I am with you. And Nicole and I said this a lot yesterday of like, it does suck. We know this is a thing in Big Brother where women can play the same game as a man and will always be seen as the bitch, the villain. And I am guilty of giving Beth shit
Same.
and being someone that advocates that I hate that women fall into that role in this game. But I think it's also a disservice to the women that play the game not like Beth to act as if there's nothing like that we aren't a little bit justified in our Beth feelings, if that makes sense. Like there's a way
don't know.
Beth goes about what she does.
Yes.
That because I'm all for her making the moves. None of my issues are with the moves that Beth makes. It's the personal, like, Ty, go and try and work over Braden. He has a crush on you. You can manipulate those feelings. It's like the slimy-ish, not, which you could argue is game. It's all game. It's happening in the game. Realize I'm being a hypocrite. But I'm taking those things that she does personal as the reason I don't care for her. Go ahead, Nicole.
I was just gonna say, Rose comments during the jury roundtable. I think that was a good way to describe it. Like she may be annoying at times in the game to live with or to watch, but game-wise, it's like, okay. But certain things like the whole when a battle back was revealed, her screaming, yelling, yeah, he'll come back with a vengeance, yeah, he'll come. Ah! It's like it's so extra, but it's like, well, that's her strategy in the hopes that if the audio is on and Jed and Tara can hear them, Jed's gonna be like, see,
Sure.
there's my Beth. She wants me back. My baby supports me. Like in that sense, like it's like, oh, it's annoying. Like it goes right through your ears, but it's like, okay, it's smart.
Oh, and 100% he could hear her because he was in the backyard. He was in the backyard, and you can hear when somebody's screaming in the living room, even if the backyard door is closed, you can absolutely hear from the yard in the living room. So I 100% Jed would have heard Tyshawn and Beth screaming yes, and being all happy about the idea that he's back in it, which is again, it's gameplay, right?
Yep, absolutely.
But I think what bugs me, I think is and I know you just mentioned it, but nobody was giving Jackson shit for his relationship with Beth, right? Nobody was giving Jackson shit for his after being with Kat. No, I sorry, that's a deep cut. Somebody called Holly Beth at some point, and it's jammed in my head that her name is Beth, and I don't know why, and I can't remember where it came from, but nobody gave Jackson shit for his relationship with Holly after being with Kat, right? There wasn't this continual, he's using her, and he doesn't really, like, it wasn't, the vitriol wasn't there, right? The vitriol wasn't there when Dr. Will was showmancing, although Twitter wasn't really around then. But the vitriol when a man does it is nowhere near as bad as when a woman does it. And when a man does it, it's strategy. And when a woman does it, she's a whore. You know, and it's just it's so troubling to me to have that. Like I even hate the word when people say, "Oh, don't slut shame her." It's like, you just called her a slut in defense. That's not a kind word. Don't use that word either. You know, it's not slut shaming, and saying that I'm slut shaming is defending her. You're still using the word slut. Like, it's still a bad word anyway. Just don't give people shit for manipulating other people's heartstrings. And it's weird to me how people think it's okay if you're not making out with the person, that you've hazed them or what's the misted them into doing what you want. But if you make out with them, now suddenly you're a bad person for it. It just, the two things aren't separate. The emotional connections in that house are made on a deep level, whether there's a sexual connection or not. You know, I never made out with Paris, right? But I love Paris to death. I would do anything for Paris. And it's not because there was any kind of sexual chemistry or anything like that, but there was an emotional bond that we dealt with from a love standpoint, right? And so in those moments, it's no different when you're in that house, when you're being manipulated by somebody that you have or haven't made out with, when the feeling is there.
I agree with that. It's emotional connection, whether you are crying to somebody and unloading about your game and you guys are so emotionally connected, is very, very similar. And again, this is all with consent, guys. We're not saying anything, but with consent, if you're making out with someone, that's essentially the same type of emotional bond. So I do hear 100% what you're saying, because I've said it on previous shows too. Females are very much judged differently. What I will say though, if you think about BBUS, Christine, BB16, got a lot of shit for being flirty with Cody, whereas, you know, you see, like you're saying, like other male contestants, maybe not so much. I know Mickey did receive some hate, but I see Courtney in the chat saying it wasn't as deep. So it is very interesting to see that dichotomy, where if a guy's flirtatious, it's like, good for him. He's using his social game. He's so flirty. I hope he's in final two. If a girl's flirty, it's like, oh my God, that's so inappropriate. Send her home.
Yeah, how could she dare use her sexuality to get further in the game? In the meantime, the guy's standing there with his shirt off, sweating and glistening, and, you know, asking for directions to the beach every day. You know, like, it's amazing what we allow, what we punish women for. I don't think it's what we allow men to get away with, because they get away with it and they should be able to. Using your sexuality and flirting is a part of the game. And it's been a part of the game since the beginning.
That's how I got.
However, we shouldn't have. Of course, I watched. But you can't. We shouldn't be punishing women for doing the same thing.
It's true. It's very true.
Here's the thing. I feel that we all know, 100%. I think we all agree on this, and I don't want to go down this path of, oh, now I'm starting to have feelings again this show. I would like to get back into raging, which is why I want to say it is not a fake double eviction. It was a real double eviction and a battle back.
Yes.
Did I miss something? Is the fake double eviction a new product in Canada that we're trying to push? Because I don't understand.
You can order one on Skip the Dishes and get it delivered with no fee. No, the fake double eviction, look, they're saying it's a fake double because two people are leaving, but only one person ends up leaving. However, I agree. It's a double eviction and a battle back.
And a battle back.
As opposed to, I don't know, what was it? A double eviction and a 12-piece puzzle? Was that or was that a single eviction that night?
That was
but anyway, I think when we're looking at twists, the idea of calling a fake double brings in ratings. Honestly, like it's going to make people watch.
No, battle back does. I would agree with you. Battle back brings in the ratings.
Yeah, when you say battle back, you then get pissed that it's not the entire jury, right? If you call it a fake double, you can say that only these two people are going home, and that's the construct of the fake double. When you say it's a battle back, then you're in Canada, that means the entire jury is involved, because that's what happened before.
Exactly.
It's more of a face-off. You got to call it something else because of the previous season 1 Gary nonsense.
And no offense, rating, it's something different. Nobody's heard of a fake battle back, but I see, like, Saki in the chat is saying, but the act wasn't fake. Exactly. The act itself wasn't fake unless, and my sister said this, and I was like, boom. If they were going to call it fake double eviction, what it should have been was that whole second part was negated. So Jed goes home, done, goodbye. All right, guys, time for a double eviction. All right, it was a fake double eviction. Tara comes back, kind of like a reset button. So my sister said if they were going to call it that, the second person evicted during the double eviction, that should have been negated.
Yeah, or it turns out we voted for the HOH, you know, like they did with the slop cookies in the one season, where everybody put the slop cookies in everybody's jar, and it turned out the person who had the most got to not be the have-not, and they all thought it was the person with the least. So they've done this kind of fake out before on the house guests, and that wouldn't have been bad either. Do the whole double evictions thing just to put the pressure on people and say, oh yeah, but this was a fake double eviction, and either Tara as the evictee is now the HOH, and that was actually the HOH comp, or it was all for nothing and it blew up all the relationships. Oh, and by the way, here's the next HOH.
Yep.
It's a double eviction. I don't know what we want, what you want. It's a double eviction. This is semantics.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like every time Marissa came out
in the house. It's fake for the people in the house.
We don't
it's
care
not fake
about
for
them,
us, but it's fake for the house.
I don't care about those people.
They should have called it 2 out, 1 back.
I just feel like every time
Paula Abdul, you take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. The half of Abdul.
That's what it is. It was the Paula. Tune in this Thursday for the Paula.
Yes. Well, that was technically Scat Cat, which also could be a
MC. No, was it MC Scat Cat?
Yes.
Why did I think it was MC Cool Cat?
No, it's Scat Cat.
I know the Aristocats. That's
dimension. Either way. What? I said, am I from another dimension? Like a Mandela effect? Did I slip into or am I just wrong? Which is entirely possible.
I like it. Whenever I'm wrong, I'm just going to say I've slipped into another dimension.
Yeah.
That's where I'm correct.
Is this a Mandela effect? Did I slip into another dimension?
Oh, that's trippy.
Now, I see people in chat ask, like, I don't think first of all, I think we have enough topics. You guys can keep giving your things. I say, screw the recapping this in order. We watch the whole thing. We can go wherever we want on this show. But I see a few people asking the same question over and over, which I don't know why this didn't click to me until right this second. They were saying, do we think that they were eavesdropping on them? They weren't eavesdropping. They're listening to music so they can't hear what's going on, correct?
I would say Jed probably had music in those headphones so that he couldn't hear the house reacting to the double, because he didn't know. So to the double,
and Tara.
And to Tara and all that kind of stuff.
But Tara was whispering to Jed. Tara was whispering to Jed, and he was whispering back. So the mischievous person in me who did this on his own season, when we were waiting for the final 2 backstage and finale night, I kept turning my music off and turning my music way down so that I could hear what was going on outside, even though I could never really hear. But I mean, I'm going to keep trying. But in fact, it got to the point where they had somebody from production standing like really in my personal space to make sure they could hear the bleed through of the headphones on me, because they'd caught me with it down twice.
It's like you have the blindfold on and you see that one little ping of light and you're like, I'm being nosy.
But it was either kind of that half slipped back headphone on one ear so they could talk to one another, or they didn't have music very loud in there. Or it was also a set for production to be able to talk to them. To say, here's what's going on. This is what's happening. You know, they were explaining the rules of the comp to them. They're explaining, you know, all of that stuff that would have to be communicated to them. So I think that might also have been it, as production is telling them what's going on, you know, and maybe piping in a little music in between.
Here's what I have to say. Number one, is Did you guys notice, like, when Jedson walked out? Like, so
Okay.
originally when Jedson was the one that walked out, and then they showed that sign that was like, shush, you're still in the game. I, honest to God, did not realize that it was a lady holding a sign until the second time. So you too, Ryan? I
No,
did not.
I knew, but I can see why you thought that because she's wearing like, not
Yeah,
a medical
One
gown,
color.
obviously a dress, but she's in a dress. She's got the face shield and the mask.
yeah.
So light reflecting off of her, you would have been able to see it right away. And I think from the first time, you would have been so focused on what the sign said,
Yes.
looking at who was holding it. The second time, you knew what the sign would say, so you were able to recognize that there was a woman holding it.
Yes.
To be clear, when I say second time, I mean when I saw it on social media, I was like, there was a lady holding a sign?
So
And
not
then
even when Tara went out?
No, not even when Tara went out. And here's the thing. I have not yet, well, maybe I haven't, so this might be the first time you're hearing this. I did not understand on All Stars when Nicole was so close on that comp, and I was like, how did you not see the toilet brush? And that toilet brush was like a little tiny thing on the toilet bowl. This is a giant lady holding a sign that I missed 2 times in a row until it went.
And they even cut to her face.
Yeah,
they cut
I
to
missed
her
it.
Face
I missed it.
at one point. Like they cut to her, like they cut to her face at one point.
Did they?
So I mean,
And
it's
it was me.
crazy that you were able to.
Surprise! It was me with a mask on. Who showed the picture?
I
again.
actually think I know. Oh no, sorry, I don't know who it is. I thought I might know who it is, but I remembered she doesn't work there this year.
Oh no, really, it's me. If you show the picture again, I can prove it's me. See.
How? How can we prove that it's you?
I'll explain it. I purchased that dress. That's my black
I thought it
mask.
was an Asian
See,
woman.
there I am. That's me. I was
could've
there,
sworn
guys.
at the close-up, it's an Asian woman. But you know, who knows? Put a mask on you, and maybe I can't tell.
Yeah,
It
it's
could
me. What I will say, when he left and when Tara left, and Tara had more of a reaction I would have, I give them so much credit for being quiet. I feel like my reaction to a girl, all due respect to her, but to a girl in like a shining dress standing at the edge, I would be like, oh shit. Like
Yeah.
I would have like punched her. I would have been thrown off the set.
What?
You're in a dark hallway. She's like, shh. Like I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yes, but you're not. And here's the thing, Ryan. This is what I did never have understood. As someone you and I know, allegedly for comedic purposes, when you go out those doors, there's like immediately a stairway going down, like the wooden rickety stairway. Or did you ever go to the right? I think every time I've been in the Big Brother house, there was just that black curtain there. I never even knew you could go to the right. But when I was
I didn't either. That was totally news to me too.
I had no
the
clue.
idea. Well, in fact, when Jetson walked through the door, my wife went, "What room is that?" And I'm like, "It's the HOH room. Look at the walls." But she thought it was a totally new room that they were taking him to because he was going in a direction that in my season didn't even exist. That direction didn't exist. There was.
I mean, it makes sense.
There was. I want to say it was a wall. It might have just been a curtain, but I don't.
I would think it was a curtain. I mean, I have the video.
I only got to go
up those stairs.
I only got to go through that door twice, and the first time I was too excited, and the second time I was a little bummed. So I didn't really pay that much attention to the decor at the moment.
Exactly.
Here's what I want to say, but no, we are not ending the show, but I think this is a great part to put it in. I want next week, Nicole, that lady. We need to find that lady. I want her joining us next week.
Okay.
Although I will say, just to put it in here now, on Monday we will be joined by Jesse Larson, who will be filling us all in on his thoughts. And then on Wednesday...
Yes. We have Tina's buddy, Debbie, joining us. Tina, of course, from this season. Her friend from the real outside world will be joining us to reflect on the season and Tina's journey and now Tara's journey, everything.
And then on Thursday, we have a surprise guest. We're still finalizing that, but get ready.
You scared me.
No. So anyway, yeah, I want that lady. I'll bump Thursday's guest for her. I will bump Thursday's guest. I want that lady. I want to know what it was like for her. I want to know, did she make her dress match the wall on purpose? Or what is it? And who made that sign? Whose job is that?
Yeah.
Is that an intern sign? Shh, you're still in the game.
How did she get picked? Like, did all like the interns or whatever go, "Ooh, we want to do it, put your name in a hat. All right, Sally, you got chosen." Or is it like somebody's wife? Is it the woman who made the sign and she's getting credit? Did she win a contest for best sign so she got to present it? Is she a fan? Was there some kind of
If I'm guessing, it's talent relations, which is what they call your producer that handles your family. And I don't know what they called it in the States for BBUS, but the producer that takes care of your family while you're away and kind of texts them and lets them know what's going on. I bet it's that person, because that was the first person I saw when I came out, was Nikki. She was my talent producer, talent coordinator. And so she was the first person I saw when I came out, because she was also one of the first people that I saw. She was the person I saw routinely throughout the process. So if I had any money on it, that's who that is. She'd be the talent coordinator for Jensen.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm still not done being angry about things.
Hold on.
What?
That would make sense. Why, if it wasn't the same one for Tara, but I wonder, like, because he didn't react like scared or anything, and I know, like, I would have a level of comfort if I walked out and my handler, if she was like, I was like, "Oh my God, okay, I'm following you because you're familiar."
Yeah, you would have seen that person and been familiar.
True, very true.
You know what else I would do if I was in this situation? I would have cleaned up the hall. Why? You went through all this trouble to put the black curtains and have your Michael's plastic leaf topiaries hanging down, but you're like, let me just throw all this shit up against the wall. It's going to be in the shot.
Someone got fired for that.
No one got fired. And by the way, I'm sure, as I think Ryan knows, that is what it is like walking through Big Brother Canada when you go there, to do things. You're very much walking through the obstacle courses of hallways to, like, get places. I just think it's funny.
What I loved was what they showed in the beginning, like behind the mirrors, and they were navigating through the hallways, because that's one thing I never obviously got to see in my 2 times on Big Brother. Yes, I walked through those hallways, but obviously you're not allowed to see what you're seeing or not seeing. So one thing I would love to do is just stand behind one of the mirrors and watch the fishbowl. So to even just see that must be so weird, like to first get hired by production, but I'm working on Big Brother, and then you're just watching these people exist in a fish tank. It's so bizarre.
You know what else is bizarre? The crying voting jet out. Are we believing these tears or not? This is what I want to know. Because what? Go ahead.
Worst Nicole. We know that Worst Nicole did this already. Oh, you know what you need to do? When you get in there, you cry. You make sure that you cry in front of when you're evicting people so that America loves you. We've seen this. We know what this is. Worst Nicole already laid this out.
But I think it's like 6 on one, half a dozen on the other. I think part of it is, oh God, I don't want the viewers to think I'm heartless. I don't want Jed to watch this back and think I'm heartless. Let me just, but I do think there is that little part of like the personal that's like, oh damn, he is my friend. This is kind of heartbreaking, because I cried every week because that's just my nature. But one of my worst, horrible, disgusting cries was voting out Tommy at Final 5, and it never even crossed my mind, like, this is bad, let me make sure I'm crying. I was just like a mess, like, oh my God, I love Tommy, I know how badly he wants this, he's such a fan, this breaks my heart. So I would you
can't have that moment and also be lying
burglar.
That's my wife, Corey.
I can't handle much more today.
She's gonna do a fake double eviction, and yeah, there she goes. But I think you can't be crying in your eviction and then also sit on the bed and to the man's face say, it's not about you, it's about winning.
Right.
With the most cold-blooded stare
Yes.
that Tyshawn said he was lying in the bed in that moment,
Yeah.
and he said it to his face. It's not about you, it's about winning. And so then you can't then go and cry when you vote him out. I just don't buy it. And Beth, I think, was entirely performative. She wants to be able to say she voted her showmance out. She wants that moment. But I think she manages her persona more than most in that house.
Okay,
but here's the thing. No, here's the thing. We think of Titanic. Rose did not want to let Jack go, right? It was a matter
of. She should have let him on the board.
There was room. And amen. But it's a matter of she's not going to drag his cold dead body around. So it's like, I don't want to let you go, but I have to for these purposes. So it's like a crying, but get off me type of thing. Same thing. I have many examples. I can go through all of them, but I think it's like that. I think it's like game wise, I have to vote you out. Hence the reason why I'm saying your name, but I'm still going to cry because it is still upsetting. Of Mice and Men. Spoiler, he doesn't want to kill Lenny. He's doing it, to put him at peace, but he's still upset about it because he has to do it, but it hurts his heart. So we see it in so many movies. The person that's like, let go. And the person's like, I can't. Look at Halloween, H2O. Mom, don't go. And she's like, get in the car, go. And she's crying. Does that mean she secretly wants him to stay? No, she wants him to drive off, but she's still crying because she's emotional.
Okay, but all of those people died in those moments. None of those people lost a game. Like nobody, nobody's sitting across the table from Monopoly going, "Give me the boardwalk money." It's just not. That's not how it works.
But would you agree?
I was sad when I voted out Hamza, and I choked. I choked up a little bit when I voted out Hamza because I didn't want to. But I knew he was going, and I couldn't be against.
Yes.
I couldn't be the rogue vote in that scenario.
And wouldn't you argue that in Big Brother, when you're in that alternate universe where it's just you guys and the world doesn't exist, doesn't eviction feel like death? Like you feel like you're sending somebody out into
we're adults.
And you shoot them out into the universe.
It depends on who goes. There were a lot of people that I was just happy to see go.
Really?
You're not going to be here anymore? That's a damn shame. There were people that I was totally fine seeing go. I love Veronica. I love Veronica to death. And I have said this over and over again. Veronica and I can hang out anytime for 4 to 5 hours. After that, Veronica is so much more than I can handle that she needs to be gone. When Veronica left, I was thrilled. I was like, fuck, I can rest. I don't have to put up with the nonsense anymore. I'm happy you're gone. So I didn't feel like it was death. It depends on who goes and why they go.
And my last
question. Nicole, you had your chance. My turn. You want to see my impression of me voting every single person out of Big Brother?
You don't know. You never played it.
Catching. Look, wait, I will give it to you 1 second. I just want to say none of what either of you just made sense. The burglar, the person who made sense to me was Mad Dragon. Was Mad Dragon over... Yes. Mad Dragon on Twitch who said it was guilt crying. Now that I agree with. They feel guilty and that's why they're crying. That I believe.
Sure, but I don't know. Maybe Tyshawn, but definitely not Beth.
That's the thing. I think it's a case by case, person by person. You know someone's personality, and there's certain people when they're like, oh God, I don't. It's like, oh come on. And there's certain people that are like, oh my God, I have. And it's like, oh, you see the difference. And I think that's more so what it is. It's case by case. And yes. Certain people look rather performative with the I can't, Jed. I was like,
yeah.
ah.
Yeah.
And I know people are saying like she didn't have to vote him out, but I don't know how you feel about this, Ryan, but I'm somebody who, as close as you are to someone, it is still a game. And I was somebody who voted with the majority so as not to stick out. So even if somebody was my ally, I went with the smartest vote. Even if it hurt my heart, I went with the smartest vote.
I think she should have voted to save him,
Mhm.
hoping that somebody else might throw a rogue vote in. Because I think if she votes to save him, all it takes is Kiefer going, oh, you know what? I'm going to make it 2-1 and I'm going to fuck over Beth. And then all of a sudden he stays. I think when it's
True.
that razor thin, I think you have to try to save your person, because if you want, and that's why I know she didn't want him saved. All of that bullshit, because anything in her that said he's got even a sliver of staying, just like Tara didn't vote Tina out, right? You cannot, when it's going to be 2-1, maybe Ty feels guilty and throws him a pity vote. Maybe Kiefer tries to throw a hinky vote. Either way, your vote makes that 2-1 the other way. And it still tells Jed on his way out, you hug him on his way to the jury, you kiss him on his way up the stairs, and you're like, I was the vote. I was your one. And then he goes to jury and he campaigns his ass off for you.
Done.
And instead, you broke yourself, and you broke it by making it 3-0.
That is what enraged me, is when she got to the top of the stairs and they were hugging and you could hear her going, make sure you tell the jury everything I did. That that's all she cared about. She didn't, that he should know she didn't care. But let me ask you this, because here was my thought watching these votes as well. So Kiefer went first, right? And then him and Ty passed each other in the hall, and it appeared to me no communication. Their pass was just
they bleeped a word.
They what?
Didn't they? Didn't they bleep a word? There was a bleep. Was that in the first one or the second one when Kiefer passed Braden? No, it was when Kiefer came out, because when Kiefer went down the hallway, there was definitely a censor beep. When Kiefer went down the hallway and Jed was coming.
Ty was coming in.
Yeah, and Ty was coming in, and it was Kiefer that said it, because there was a beep when and Tyshawn's lips weren't moving, so Kiefer definitely said something. So I don't know, maybe he said Jed, and they beat that out to take that away, or he just said fuck and they weren't going to put it on. Fuck, I can't believe we're doing this. You know?
Here was my point. There was clearly communication between Ty and Beth in that hallway, and I couldn't tell, whereas I normally think that Beth is being fake in these moments with the crying. I couldn't tell, did Ty and Beth really not know what Kiefer was going to do? Like, did the fact that they need to confirm with each other, in a way I felt Kiefer and Ty didn't need to confirm with each other. So, like, was there something there? I just found like that dynamic a little interesting in the hallway with that vote.
Maybe they had a moment of like, oh, Kiefer may not vote out Jed. Us two have to be on the same page.
That's my point. I wonder if
but again, that says to you immediately that the performance was a performance from Beth. Because if she's in that moment and she's unsure and she's sending Jed home to make sure that it's not 2-1 the other way, that knows that, I can't, and and again, full credit to Beth. I'm not shitting on Beth at all for this, because managing Canada's reaction is important, because you don't know what twists are potentially coming. You have to act like you're this. You know, the people on the live feeds absolutely know what's going on. The people at home think that there's been this wonderful romance, and they didn't show anything really about Beth voting Jed out, or it being her being a big part of it, because she was all week. So I think it's they're doing her a bit of a favor with the edit in that moment.
100%. When I watched this episode, I was like, this episode will spare Beth the home viewer ridicule 100%. All of us live feed watchers know that Jed's family and everyone else real anti-Beth on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I was talking to his mom back and forth a bit today, and I just said, look, I said, he trusts and he loves, and that is going to get him very far in life.
Yep.
However, that strength of character is an absolute weakness in the Big Brother house.
Yes.
Because Beth has been telling him for 50 some odd days now that this is not serious for her, including less than a week ago saying, who would be really great for you is my friend in Calgary. She likes black dudes and she's hilarious. And Jedson sat on the counter and said, are you trying to set me up with another girl right now? And Beth caught herself and went, if this doesn't work out.
Oh my
God. Well,
God.
of course it's not working out for her. But that didn't faze him. He was like, yeah, you know what you're saying. So I think he absolutely got snowed and believed that Beth was in this for the long haul, and she was happy to let him think that because he was protecting her in the game.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but all is fair in love, war, and Big Brother, including relationships. Again, as long as both are consenting parties, and if the relationship is something more, that's obviously a whole nother thing. But all is fair in love, war, and Big Brother. And if people want to flirt with multiple or bounce from one person to another,
good for them.
Good for them. Kudos to you.
For them. Who do we want to win, Ryan? Right now, if you could pick a final two, who would you want it to be, and who would you want to win?
That's an interesting question. I think of the players left, I want Kiefer's game to be rewarded.
Okay.
I think Kiefer has done a spectacular job of not only winning, being heavily involved in every move of the season, playing a good floater strategy until one side was completely sunk, and then the other side didn't even really. They put him on the block as punishment, but they didn't send him home. He was supposed to be backdoored and pitied his way into staying, and on top of 3 comp wins already. Plus, from a representation standpoint, having an Indigenous winner would be great to add to the winners club. So I think I'd like to see Kiefer win because I think he has played the best game of the remaining players, no matter who comes back in. Kiefer has played the best game from week 1 till now. He's been aggressive about his gameplay, and not the least of which, he sat in the living room in front of everybody and said things like, well, I'm going to fucking win this game. And nobody punished him for that. No. Nobody. And it wasn't said with a smile. It wasn't said as a joke. He just told them to their faces, I'm going to win. Yeah. Fuck yes, man. I hope he can pull it off. Now, who he sits next to, I think I'd like to see him sitting next to Braden so that we could have that fight, because I think 2 Sunsetters sitting together is boring as shit. Or if Tara gets her way back into the house and she beats Jedson, have Kiefer sitting next to Tara and have Tara be able to run that same game. I think so. So, I mean, either way, and I mean, Tara's got kids, and I know people say, well, but Kiefer's also got kids. None of the rest of them do. So, if the 2 parents walk out with a little bit of cash to show for their time away, I'm fine with that. From like this makes me feel good standpoint. But I don't need to see, I'd be perfectly happy with a Jed or a tie or win either. I honestly, all of them could win, and I could make a justification as to why they weren't a bad winner. There's so many places and so many seasons where you're like, ugh, I hate this fucking winner. There was a relatively spare-headed fellow recently that I hated. But I think when you look at that stuff, and I know you're trying not to smile, and that's okay. I'm allowed to say it. You're not.
I'll tell you winners I don't like, no problem.
Yeah, no, I didn't hate. I thought the wrong person was rewarded. Like there's none of these people are problematic within the game. None of these people are bad people that I don't want to win because I don't think they're good people. You know, like I don't think any of them have been hiding in the shower eating when they were supposed to be on slop. I don't think that any of them have said anything that they're not supposed to say that has kind of come to light and been an issue. You know, Kiefer's had some suspect things about women, which I don't particularly care for, but I think he was talking about specific women and not women in general. And so that kind of mollifies that for me. So yeah, any of them could win and I'd be fine with it. And I wouldn't be upset about it because I think they've all got a legitimate case for why they should be the winner of Big Brother 9.
I would not be upset with any of these people being winners. I definitely co-sign that. I think all of these people played games that, you know, quote unquote, deserve the win. I do agree. I don't really care for Kiefer's game, but I 100% agree. He has done the most, given us the most fun feeds, the flips, the drama, all of that is a direct result of Kiefer's moves in this game. So if there's a deserving person on a scale, 100% I agree that Kiefer is. That being said, I would love like well, before tonight it would have been a Braden win, but now I'm going back to Ty. I want a Ty win.
And again, there's so much to change between now and then too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. I have to see, like you're saying, more of how it plays out. But right here in this moment, I am holding out hope that a Tara fights her way back and then ends up winning it, or even a Jed fights his way back and ends up winning it. I guess it wouldn't necessarily be an underdog story for like a Jed, but I love a redemption story, and I would love like the battled their way back and brought it home. Like that to me is really awesome. So yeah, I think my answer would be like whoever battles their way back.
Okay, so I mean, we don't really
I don't love people getting evicted and then coming back into the game, period. I think I've said often that the only example of where I'd be okay with that is if it was me. And otherwise I don't think I like that twist at all. So I think it would bug me, the idea. I mean, technically it's a fake double and they weren't technically evicted. So, you know, they got the most votes, but were they evicted?
Okay.
They never left the house. They never went downstairs.
True. It was fake.
True, it was fake.
No, but,
Look.
Here's the thing though. If now I forgot my train of thought. Eric.
Good.
No,
so hold
like
your breath. You've used
like,
all your words.
It's like when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in returnees. I don't believe in alums. It should be all newbies." And then they're on the show, and it's like they get asked to return, and it's like, well, yeah, it's different because it's me, you know. So it's kind of like that same thing, you know. When you're watching it, like, no, battle back. But if it was you battling back, you'd be like, yeah, it's allowed.
100%. That's the only time I think it's okay.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm in the game and people, or I'm not playing, and I wish I was playing. Or like, you know, the only way I ever think a battle back is fine is if I'm winning that competition personally. Otherwise, I hate it. I hate twists in general. But thanks, Canada. I appreciate you saving me. You know, I think any of this thing. You know, I don't think I'll ever get asked back to play the game until enough people say no that they're forced to call me. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have to like have a serious long conversation with my boss and my wife to see if I could play again. I'd love to. But I think, you know, I just don't, I don't like the idea of an evictee coming back in. You know, Topaz, I'm a karmic guy, right? I believe in the good of the universe bringing good back to you. Okay. Topaz putting the wrong key in the box in season 1 made that season right. Because if Topaz actually votes for Gary instead of Jillian, then all of a sudden Gary, as this spent time with the jury evictee and learns all the secrets outside the game, comes back into the game and ends up winning, would have looked bad. It would have looked bad on the franchise, I think. So yeah, I'm not big on people coming back in once they've already.
mean, my battle back.
No,
As a winner,
no.
Bias.
Look, we are out of time because you two can't make a point in 10 seconds. So I would like to discuss the last two things really quickly. Number one is, first question is to Ryan. Nicole, you have no opinion in this. Ryan, can you explain to me why jury houses in Canada look like grandma's condos and gross?
I'm sorry.
I mean, it's a cabin on a lake. So here's the problem. When you're looking at a jury house, you have to find a house that will sleep 7, or 9 actually, because you have jury mom and dad there as well. So you need a house that will sleep 9. There's not, or 7 or whatever it is ends up being. Yeah.
Ryan, you've killed the joke. Next question. What do we think is? What do we think this battle back is? Skeet ball? Go ahead, Nicole.
I think it's like after I was evicted, the All-Stars did the one where they had a slide, the beer mug. It looks like that. It's called Heads Must Roll. And I think they have to roll something and get it in that green zone without it falling too short on red or without it flying off the end. It seems like they gotta get it in the green area.
They did tell the house guests that they were going to be able to watch the first part of the competition. So I think it's a large scale thing. But you might be right in theory that it's a shuffleboard type game and highest score wins, but you've got like 10 pucks or something like that, and depending on where they land and what color they land on, you get a different score for each color. But I think it's got to be multiple pieces to it, because they did say that they got to watch part of the competition. So I don't think it can just be a one thing toss.
And maybe how they said heads will roll, maybe they're like mini die cast models of the house guests' heads, and they have to roll them. And whoever stays on the thing, if they're in the green zone, they become the next HOH. So say Tara like rolls herself and Kiefer and Beth, and then Kiefer's still on there. I was like, oh, Tara, because of you, Kiefer's HOH. I don't know.
I mean, if it's multiple part, doesn't it favor Tara? I feel like this is like that TikTok challenge again, where Tara has gone through this multi-staged event.
Maybe best 2 out of 3.
Jed just didn't win a veto where it was multi-stage as well.
True.
I mean, Jed's veto was multi-stage, and he did very, very well. Blew away the competition, in fact. So I think it's I mean, either way, I'm dying to watch it, and I hate the idea that they didn't give us the battle back tonight and feeds for the next 3 days because.
Have you ever watched Big Brother Canada
before? I know, of course, yes, but that doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed. Like the whole point of a cliffhanger is that you're angry that it's over and that you want to watch the next thing. Well, I want to watch the next thing, and I don't want to have to wait 3 days or 4 days now, because the episode's on Monday, which is a disaster anyway, but I'll leave that to another discussion. I want feeds. I want to see the aftermath immediately. I don't want to have to wait 4 days for it.
Do you know what was fun last season, Ryan? I put out like these tweets and stuff during last season of Big Canada, and then it was revealed later on that if you circled the first letter of like each of my sentences, I was telling people stuff the whole time, and they didn't realize it. And I'm surprised more people didn't catch on to that. Anyway, I would love all of you guys, and here's what you need to do. Make sure that you're following all of us on social media, and I just want to put a little programming note. Yes, there's been an issue with the Updaters account that they are working on fixing for all of you, but if you want, in the meantime, you can follow at BBCan9 live feeds, and then the number 2. It is now the new backup account until they figure out what's going on with that. But make sure that
the number 2.
Yes. So make sure that
and also don't be upset when it doesn't tweet for the next 3 days.
Yeah,
there's no feeds to update until Monday.
Yeah, that's true. This is a good
I say we just make up our own feeds. I will turn on a live feed camera, follow myself around the house, and I'll pretend.
Well, why do that? We feel like we do that anyway. I feel like we're
I thought
live
people would
all
watch
day
that.
long. What?
I think people would watch that. I think I'm pretty entertaining.
Yes. Now,
People will watch.
Ryan, where would you like people to follow you on social media?
I'm at BBCan Ryan on everything. I decided when I got back to just make it the profile for everything. I changed everything to that so that I was easy to find. If you follow me on Instagram, you will very rarely see a post, maybe occasionally, and often it's just because someone else tagged me in it. But you can follow that. You can follow me on Twitter. That's where I am all the time, at BBCan Ryan. That's where I'm most active. And if you like pictures of adorable dogs, I have an account for my dogs that I update regularly called Cuddle Channels. And it's my two half French, half English bulldogs, which is why they're a channel, because it's half French, half English. And all they do is fucking sleep all day. And so whenever they're cute and cuddling together, I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it on Instagram. So if you like cute dogs, Cuddle Channels is the way to go. Yeah,
Nicole?
that's the way to find it.
And for the next 4 days, because the feeds are down, Ryan has informed us he's going to be putting the camera on in his house, so you can all weekend long.
You just watch my dog sleep all
Is
the time.
that what he said? Because I thought I asked Ryan for a Twitter, which I thought was going to be this is my Twitter. And then it went on and I was hearing dog. I like zoned out.
I love
where to
French
follow what I'm doing.
No, I'm totally
I told you.
screwing with you.
I want to follow it.
I'm going to
Cuddle
follow
Channels.
it. I was trying to type it in, which is what I was going to say, because people in chat, can you say it one more time, Ryan?
Yeah, so it's cuddle, like cuddle, obviously, and then channels, like the English channel, the tunnel between England and France. So that's CHUNNELS. That's how you find them, and that's
Perfect.
I mean, if you go back through my Instagram, I often share the post from there. Yeah.
I'm going to do you one better, Ryan. We're going to put it in the show notes for this show everywhere so people
Hey!
can just look down below. But I just
That's
like
a
to
good
have the
idea.
spelling for the podcast people.
Yes, that's a good idea. So yeah, check them out. I don't post with them often, but you'll get a cute dog picture a week or so. Just something to smile about in your feed.
What?
Nicole, final thoughts. Oh my God, now you two are speechless? Now you're speechless. I'm gonna end the show. Make sure that you guys share it now that it's over. And follow us and subscribe and like and thumbs up and share.
That's so ridiculous.
HelloFriendsPod.com. Nicole, final thoughts.
I don't know. I'm laughing because he's laughing. I can't think of anything. This has been a very enjoyable show.
That's
I
it?
can't think of anything.
So
Cuddle
ridiculous.
Channels. I don't know.
I guess that's all. Bye for now, everybody. Bye, friends.